We go for the message. Today, again, it's our annual celebration Sunday. So instead of kind of a normal sermon, which is what we mostly do on Sunday, we're going to focus on celebrating what God is doing. So what God is doing in and through the Hope family. See, God is always at work in ways that we can't see, restoring lives, guiding people to follow him. God is always transforming hearts. So this morning, as a part of our annual celebration, you're going to hear stories of a few different people who have encountered God's grace and experienced the transforming work of the Spirit right here in our church family. But I want to keep this in mind, even as you hear these stories. Hope Covenant belongs to Jesus. This is not about how great Hope Covenant Church is. We want to make sure that we are always pointing to the goodness and the grace of Jesus, and every good thing that happens around our church is because of Jesus. It's his church, and he invites us to shine his light into a dark world. So ultimately, every good thing that we talk about or hear, we want to point it back to God because it comes from him. Even our light, right, comes from Jesus. Jesus was real clear with his followers about his intention for his people in the world when he said in Matthew chapter 5, you, not they, you, so you and you and you and you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. In fact, let's read this out loud together. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. So let your light shine before men and women so they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. They might see your good deeds, the way you act towards others or how you treat other people, the way we serve other people. That's the good deeds part. And it would glorify our Father in heaven, which is what draws other people to Jesus, because God's intention is for people outside of the church to look at the church and think, wow, God must be real, and maybe even that they would look and see that and go, I want to follow the God that they follow. And so over the next, 35, 40 minutes, you're going to hear stories of people who encountered God's presence and experienced his transforming work right here in our church community. And for each story, there's a connection to this identity, because we're in this series of discovering identity. And so there's a connection to the identity God has given to our church, where we describe our identity when we say every week that at Hope, we are a grace-based family where anyone can find and follow Jesus. And I love that really happens here, that people can find Jesus and follow Jesus as a result of getting connected to this church family. So our first story comes from Neil Mersner, and it's been a blast for me to watch Neil just get connected to Jesus. Come on up, Neil. And he's now all in. He's learning. Yeah. He is learning to follow Jesus, and for Neil, his journey here at Hope began 2 Easters ago, but God was guiding you all along the way. So let's listen here to how God has been guiding our brother. Yeah, that microphone's a good idea. There you go. All right. Let's see, we flipped on. There it is. Ta-da.
Okay. All right, here we go. Good morning. Yeah, there we go. My man. I needed it. Yeah. It's been a pretty awesome ride so far the last couple years. So Doug reached out to me and he said, hey, would you be willing to share your story? And I said, sure. And my wife looked at me and said, you can talk forever. What's the big problem? But then I sat down and started writing, and this was not ChatGPT. This was ChatGOD that must have been speaking with me. So I'm going to read this. Bear with me. I haven't read it once without getting a little choked up, so we'll try it.
Me too.
Okay. Obviously, my name's Neil. We already got through that part. Easter 2023, that was the time I started here. But I've learned my journey was already known by God. Years ago, I used to tell myself that I'd never go to church again. As the years have passed and my family has grown, more and more people entered my life that had some form of God in their stories. I didn't know at that time, but it was Jesus guiding me to this church with this family. February 14th, 2024, February 14th is my birthday. That is the day that God spoke directly to me through a close friend. She told me the same thing I'd heard from my awesome parents, friends, wife, and children before, but it landed that day in a way I'd never felt. She said to me, you're not a mistake. God knew you before you were born and did not make a mistake bringing you into this world. That was a pretty big punch to the gut, because obviously that was the big lie for me for a lot of years. So that day changed me. It allowed me to see all the goodness that God and this church has brought to me and my family. It helped me to see and hear things differently and more clearly, removing fear and doubt and the darkness that had been holding me back. I remembered the men's retreat being a milestone for me as I really got to know a lot of the people here at this church and this family. I realized there was more happening here than I could even comprehend. God has helped guide me to heal relationships I'd thought I'd lost forever. I found the path to my identity here and continue to walk without fear today while further discovering myself. I'm proud to say that I've become a better friend, husband, father, and a man since allowing God into my life. It's given me a mission statement that some of my friends and family have already known about me, but now I honor them in realizing why I'm supposed to be here by sharing it with others. And I love this. I came up with it at the weekend little deal we did, and I've been saying it a lot lately. It's to seek first the kingdom of God so that I may serve his community through my proximity, inspiring others to attack each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, and to help others believe that nobody could possibly have it better than them. That's my story.
Thanks, brother. That's good. I just love how God knew Neil's heart, knew Neil's story, and worked through somebody else to remind him or to tell him that important truth that he needed to hear at that crucial moment, that he was not a mistake, that he had a purpose. See, Neil's story is a powerful reminder that God's grace meets us in our confusion or our doubts or our darkness, or maybe our thoughts that never will I do this or be a part of a church. But God shows up and not only invites Neil to follow him, but goes deeper and helps him find his true identity, his mission statement, a place to belong. And by the way, that was a powerful mission statement. So the Foresight seminar we had last month, he actually got up and read that to the whole group when he had gotten to that place. He was way ahead of the rest of us, I think, in the seminar. Well done, my man. But we're just blown away to see what God's been up to. So on the count of 3 here, can we shout out a big yay, Jesus, for what God's doing in our brother's life here? 1, 2, 3. Yay, Jesus. That's pretty good. Not bad, not bad. All right, our next story highlights how here at Hope, part of what it means to be a family that follows Jesus together is that we help each other discover and follow Jesus' call on our lives. So, Gwen, would you come? Gwen Mulder is a great example. And so, let's welcome her. She comes up. Gwen, tell us how God has been at work through your story here at Hope. Oh, yeah, we do need that microphone, don't we? I'm doing it. Facebook is going to want to hear you, though. Here we go. All right, let's do this all over again. Welcome, Gwen. All right, here we go. There we go.
Sorry about that. Ever since I've been at Hope, I've been in a small group. And I think because I was a teacher, people would sometimes ask me, have you ever thought about leading a group yourself? And I was always like, no, I work with first graders. Their adults are completely different, and that is that.
Not that different.
So when I retired, I had a chance to get more involved in various church activities. I was still in a small group. I joined the Women's Bible Study, and most lately, the Grief Share. So after about a year ago, people started asking me, I need to be out for a bit. Can you cover for me when I can't be there to lead a discussion? And I was like, I work with kids. I don't know how to do adults. But people kept asking me, and so I started thinking, well, they obviously think I can do it, so maybe I should try. My first experience was with my small group, where our leaders had to be out occasionally, and they asked me to cover for them. And it went okay. And guess what? Not once did I have to stop anybody and say, can you be making a better choice right now? Or reminding them that we don't put scissors in our mouth. Shortly after that, someone in the Bible study asked me if I could cover for them. And so since small group was going pretty well, I thought, yeah, I could do that too. Time went on, and it turned out that the leaders in both of those groups need to bow out for the rest of the session. So guess who needed to fill in? That was me. And then, what you might call a come to Jesus moment, leaders in both of the groups said, we need to bow out completely for now. And so I thought, well, I am out too, because my intent had only ever been to be a dependable person to fill in for you, and I enjoyed that role. So after I learned that, I went home and I started off on my daily prayer walk, and my intent was to explain to the Lord why I wasn't going to be doing that anymore. I know why you're laughing. Of course, he had a different idea. By the time I got back from my walk, I had a plan. I went straight to my computer, emailed Doug, and said, what would you think about this? So that is what I've been doing. I've been took care of it, signed up for the next time, and that is what I'm doing right now. One more thing. I joined the Grief Share group and in a support role, and it turns out that I need to step up for this year's session to fill in for that, so I'm doing that as well. 1 year ago, if you had told me this is what I'd be doing, I would have said, no way. But thanks to God's gentle and persistent leading, and thank you to my sisters in the Lord who have loved me and encouraged me and supported me. Thank you.
Yeah, I love how Gwen's journey here at Hope, just a story of how God will call out our gifts and our potential in us. And even though she didn't recognize necessarily her gifts as a leader when she first retired and got more involved here, I love how God began speaking to her. Notice where she had a conversation with God, so you have to ask a question before you hear what God's going to say. So I love that she listened to what God was saying and then was just encouraged by the people around her and recognized the obvious gifts that the rest of us see in her and stepped in that way. See, I think one of the cool things about Gwen's story is it shows us how following Jesus often means stepping out of our comfort zones and trust God to do what he would like to do in our lives. So can we give a big shout out, yay Jesus, for what God's doing in our sister Gwen's life? 1, 2, 3, yay Jesus. All right, I love it. All right, next story here. Again, just a reminder, God has called Hope to be this grace-based family where anyone can find and follow Jesus. And that word grace points to how we do things differently around here than maybe you would expect at other places, but it results in a different kind of environment. So Tyler Carlson, come on up. Tyler, yeah, give him a welcome. I remember meeting Tyler at some other pastor events in California first, I think, and then some stuff around here as he was youth pastor. And so glad you're here now. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Well, good morning. As Doug said, I was previously in ministry for the last 6 years of my life. I was doing youth ministry, which was really one of the great honors of my life. I love kids, I love youth, love working with them, and it's been fantastic. Doug and I knew each other previously from seminary and different experiences like that. But So, like I said, I have some pretty extensive experience in the church. My wife is a PK, Hannah, so she's been around the church as well. Flipped it off. There we go. And so we've had some pretty extensive experience with the church. My last role, I spent 4 years at a church in Phoenix, and while I loved working with our kids and our youth, it was overall a pretty wounding experience for both of us. And I won't get into details of what that is or what that looks like. It's not really the point here. But really what the point is I needed to step away from that environment for a while, step away from ministry entirely, experiencing a lot of hurt and a lot of wounding, a lot of burnout, things that I'm still working through a little bit. But we knew that we wanted to and needed to step into a church family coming out of that. To be honest with you, I would have been, I think, totally fine if we just never stepped into a church. Maybe not again, but for a while. But we knew that was going to be an important step for us to take. And so I had this connection previously with Doug and with the Covenant Church, and so we wanted to try this out. And from the moment we stepped into the doors, we felt welcome here and felt safe here. I think more than anything, the word that was coming to mind is we were looking for a refuge, a place to heal, a place to reconnect with the heartbeat of church. And we found that here. Really big thank you to Rahel and Brandon for bringing us in and joining their small group. That's been a pretty game-changing thing for us to be able to just sit under the Word and be in community and connected in community with others. Has been helpful for us to heal as well. So that journey is ongoing. It's still happening right now, but we're thankful for Hope, and we're thankful for this community that we're going to be able to do that here together.
All right, on. All right, brother. Thanks, man. Love you. Yeah, that's so good. I mean, this one really hits home for me. All of them do, but I remember being the same age as you guys in my late 20s, having a really brutal experience at a church in Wisconsin. And then it was just very disorienting. So maybe that's one of the reasons for me that it really matters that when pastors take a break or step out of a church ministry kind of role, that there is a safe, healthy church community where you can heal and reconnect with people in a way that doesn't have all that pressure. It matters to me that such a place exists. And so for them, and I know for many of you, to take that risk to show up here at Hope and discover this place of grace where you can belong, where you can rediscover God's heart for you as beloved sons, as beloved daughters. Dang, that's a big part of the reason that Heidi and I do this. We are so proud of this church family. This church family, hey, we are not perfect. There's all kinds of ways that I can even look at my own deficiencies pretty quickly as a pastor and as a leader. And in spite of that, God chooses to put his love and grace on display through the Hope family in ways that bring restoration and renewal to people's journey with God here at Hope. So can we give a shout out, Yay Jesus, on 3 for what God's doing in our brother and sisters' lives and many of yours as well. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Jesus. All right. Okay, story number 4. Hey, for Hope to be a grace-based family where anyone can find and follow Jesus, this means being a place where people can come as they are, bring their questions, their struggles, not have to have the easy answer that everybody else thinks is the correct theology or doctrine, and to be able to wonder about things. And some of us are maybe have been in a place in our own lives where we're not sure if we could belong to a church and still be authentic about who we are. And for Monica Andrews, her faith journey led her through disillusionment with the institutional church, but through being willing to pray and take a risk, God brought her to Hope. So welcome Monica up. Come on, Monica. Hello, you get that microphone, there you go.
Thanks for letting me take a moment just to share a little bit of my story with you this morning. I'm so grateful about that and excited. I've been waiting for a chance to talk about all the good things that Hope is doing in and through me. So the church has been a part of my life for a long time, as long as I can remember, really. Different churches, different people, different time periods. Sometimes it was a good experience and sometimes it wasn't, like some of the other stories that have come before me. Some of those experiences were wounding. But about 3 years ago, unfortunately, I got to the place where I was starting to have this really strong feeling that maybe the church, at least in the institutional sense, wasn't a place for me anymore. And I was really heartbroken about that because I had come to love the church and love its people. I was ready to just give up and let my personal experience of God be enough. But I, in my deepest sense, didn't feel God affirming that. I didn't feel him telling me that that was what he wanted for me, that that was my story. So I prayed about it a lot, and I asked other people to join in prayer with me for quite a long time, probably a year or so. I had church friends and people in my life that believed in God, but I wasn't a part of a church community longer than actually probably 2 years. I don't feel like it's my role, like Tyler said, to talk about the ways that the church wasn't working for me. I only feel like it's my role this morning to talk about all the good things that God is doing here at Hope. So I started listening to services online about 2 years ago. And after a few months, I started attending. And then over the last year, I've become a part of a small group. I've gone on a mission trip to Naomi House. I've attended a couple Bible studies and workshops. I knit and crochet with the ladies on Thursday morning, and I have a few wonderful people that I get together and have coffee with and just kind of discuss all the problems of the world. And in all of those settings, I can see exactly what this church is doing, is what they're proclaiming to do, which is to be a place where anyone can find and follow Jesus. But two things in particular stand out for me in my experience of this church. And the first is that I need a lot of room to explore ideas and to disagree with people. I'm not a person who's really certain of things. It's just not my nature. In fact, I would say the opposite of true. The more certain people are about things, the more inclined I am to be mistrusting of the things that they are saying. And the great thing is that nobody here at Hope makes me feel judged for that or makes me feel bad. In fact, the opposite. They value my ability to think critically, and they value my desire to ask questions and seek understanding and my curiosity. And if they don't agree with me, they leave room for me to go and work things out with God, which is so important to my relationship with God, to have that space to ask questions and then listen for him to answer and let the Holy Spirit move and work in my life. I need to be able to do that. And this church is really good at doing that. When I can ask those questions, I can grow in my faith. When I can grow in my faith, I become closer to God. The second thing is authenticity, or what Doug was talking about, grace and acceptance. I'm a person who has significant health challenges. I usually come to church by myself because my immediate family has chosen a different way to walk out their faith. My extended family is what some people would call dysfunctional, and I still have some wounds that I'm healing from those years with them. Most of my spiritual growth has come from making a lot of terrible mistakes. And I feel really strongly about social justice in a way that a lot of people don't agree with. I don't feel judged here for any of that. Those are just characteristics of my life, and I feel like here at Hope I'm seen for who I am spiritually, first and foremost. So what does all of that mean for us? Well, I have lots of stories that I could have shared with you this morning about the powerful ways that God has worked and moved in my life, and they're all treasures to me. Each one of those answered prayers are like what I call jewels, or what some may call jewels in my crown. So the reason that I share this particular answered prayer with you is because of the role that you have played in it. I had resigned myself to either living my life outside of my faith, outside of a group of believers who believe the same thing in me as me, or living out my faith inside a church where I had to hide parts of myself that I was still working on, or parts of myself that just were different and needed to be accepted. And instead, I'm experiencing God in community with all of you who love God so very much and who He loves. And I'm bearing the weight of the world with you. And I'm finding new ways all the time to share what God has gifted me with uniquely, and given the opportunity to do that. So I hope that what I've shared with you will absolutely give you cause to celebrate and be grateful this morning. But I hope that what you might also see from my story, and that what I hope I can remember, is that we here at Hope are all a part of somebody's treasure. Somebody's answered prayer, maybe even something they didn't even know they needed or were praying for. Thank you.
Oh, I love this. I love Monica's story. I mean, if you've been somebody that's gotten to hang around Monica, you know that she is a gift to our community. Her willingness to ask questions and think critically and grow spiritually and discover there's a bunch of us in the same boat, asking the same questions and not afraid to wonder. And we're trusting that God's big enough to take care of our doubts, and we don't have to live in fear. I love that Monica talked about sensing the authenticity here and being able to be seen and loved for who she truly is. And that's so important to who we are as a church as we follow Jesus together. Monica's somebody that Heidi and I both trust. She has a very deep and real relationship with God. And again, if you've gotten to know her or hang around her, you know that she's a blessing to be around. So can we shout out a big yay Jesus on 3 for what God's doing in our sisters' lives and in our lives through her? 1, 2, 3. Yay, Jesus. Okay. Well, the last of our stories of hope this morning is a beautiful example of growth and healing happening in the context of a family, of being a family, a multi-generational family. And Addie will probably mention the impact of fathers and mothers in our church family, fathers and mothers in the faith. We talk about that a lot as a staff, but haven't said as much about it in this room, but it is something that's crucial to who we are. So as Addie comes, will you just welcome her up as we hear what God's been up to? Woo-hoo. Yeah.
Oh, I hate the stage. I'm so nervous. Hello again. I feel really blessed that I've gotten to share parts of this story a few times here. But a little over a year ago, on January 7th, I walked through these doors for the first time, anticipating a solid 2 months of church hopping in front of me. I had just moved down to Arizona. I moved here to be a caretaker for my grandma. And I knew that I needed to find a church community, so I had done 6 months of narrowing it down through watching sermon videos online and reading lots and lots of belief statements of all of the churches in the valley, and just being like, okay, God, where do you want me? And I grew up in the Covenant Church, so Hope is the first one that I decided to come to. But my shoulders, they quickly relaxed when I came into Hope and was greeted at the welcome table by Heidi and Liz. And there was cold brew, which I thought was like the coolest thing ever. Even though I don't drink cold drinks, I just thought the idea of that was so awesome. And it was so easy to join a brash and crazy small group. That I love so much, and so easy to witness how people genuinely lean towards one anothering here. Easy to start serving in the kids and the youth, and just excited about the people here, and so easy to love quickly. And believe it or not, I tend to be a yes man. I love just like doing everything all the time and being involved in as many things as possible. From the 7th grade, my mantra has been, I am a human being, not a human doing. And I have continued to forget that over and over and over and over again in a pretty production-focused family and just, I don't know, society generally, I feel like. But I was so excited to be here. Soon after I joined, started doing things here. My dad passed on February 23rd, and I hopped out for 2 months. And to leave and to be handling the loss of my dad, and then to be coming back and to still be doing that, it was difficult to really do anything. It was difficult to get out of bed. It was difficult to feel like a presentable human being, to feel like I could represent myself well. And the feeling of coming in hot to this space and to joining and saying yes to everything and then leaving so quickly, it made me feel fickle and untrustworthy and unvaluable, and I immediately began to disqualify myself from the Hope family because I didn't feel like I had enough skin in the game. I just felt like, how could these people trust me to do anything when I just like leave and go places? And I had a desire to prove. I was like, I need to prove to these people. I need to show them that I'm worth something. I need to prove that I can be a better version of myself despite everything going on. But I quickly found that there was actually no need for me to do that. And instead, there was this abounding grace, an incredible network of support that I just wholly did not anticipate. That there were so many mothers and fathers in this church that wanted to support me and to love me and to give me hugs, which I love so much. And I could feel Jesus in that process, again telling me that I could rest here. And there have been so many moments in my life that is exactly what Jesus has told me. So many times where I have been going, something happened, and then I've spun out of control, and the lesson is always, shh, rest, be. I wouldn't say life verse, but over the past 4 years of my life, a verse that continues to come to mind is Psalm 139:5. And I don't like any of the English translations, but because I'm obnoxious. But the Swedish translation into English of that verse is, "You surround me on all sides and hold me in the palm of your hand." In the English ones, it talks about like sewing and hemming you in, and I was like, no. You hold me in the palm of your hand, and you surround me on all sides. And I have truly felt that in this family and in this space. And I continue to hear that over and over again as my desire to do becomes greater than my understanding that I can be. And then throughout my work here, and time in this body, I just have felt invited to rest here, to take it in, to develop my gifts, and grow in my understanding of God, who continues to invite me into a posture that feels so wrong. I was talking with a friend on my drive home last night. I left the church at 11:30 p.m. last night after the youth conference. I'm very tired. I think the youth people are tired right now. Give us grace if you have a conversation with us. But I was having this conversation with my friend, and I was just so excited about what Jesus was doing. And I was like, Juliana, like, I feel like my nearness to God is more so than it has ever been right now. And my prayer feels more powerful, not because of the silly words that I'm using or my tendency to be like over vocabulary, I don't know, using big words, but because I feel the presence of the Spirit in my life right now and in this space where I am. And the youth conference, it was about walking through the wilderness and things blooming in the desert. And I hate the desert. I don't want to be in Arizona, you guys. But I'm here and I love it, and I'm invited to rest here, so I'm here. But man, oh, I miss trees. But during this youth conference, there were greenhouses around the room, and I was telling my friend Juliana, I was like, Juliana, like, the Spirit has me in this greenhouse right now at this church, in this space. Like, I am invited and celebrated and encouraged to develop my gifts, to grow in my understanding of God, and to rest here and to just really feel this depth of roots in the Word and in the Spirit, and just feel that strengthening after what has felt like a really long and hard season of just God pruning me down to the stump and rerouting me and I don't know, putting me out in the sun to dry. But this season that has just been so hard, and that I hated seasonal metaphors and I hated plant metaphors, because I was like, I just feel like I am left in the winter. But I feel like I've been moved into the greenhouse. And that God is developing that. And I'm just so excited to be in this church that does that through a commitment to listening to God. Yeah, I think that's all that I have to say. I went off script. Jesus loves you.
You're awesome. Oh man, I get to work with Addie in the office every day, and she just brings joy to all of us who get to work with her. But she's also real about what her life is like and what she's going through, and grieving the loss of her dad. But I'm so grateful that Hope's the kind of church family where, like, it's for real. You can come as you are, and you're going to get loved as you are, and there are people that are going to walk with you through whatever you're going through. So that is something God planted in this church, and that y'all have watered and then been the hands and feet of Jesus. So can we give, on the count of 3, a big yay Jesus for what God's up to in Addie's lives and in our lives by making this a safe place to be ourselves and grow together? On 1, 2, 3. Yay Jesus. All right. Hey, well, as we wrap up this morning, worship team, when you come, I'm just so grateful for what God is doing here in our church family, that He's shaping our grace-based family by making this a place where gifts can get called out and people can grow and become and have purpose in their life and minister to others. That we're the kind of place where people can belong and find space to heal, space to grow. So as we celebrate these stories together, we'll skip ahead a couple slides here. Here's a couple questions I just want you to go with. The first question is this: how is God calling you to be a part of this grace-based family? How is God calling you and inviting you to experience his grace or take another step in your faith in this grace-based family by serving or maybe joining a small group or by loving our kids and serving in the kids ministry or with our teens or greeting here on Sunday morning so when people come in they can feel the love and the welcome. Whatever it is, how is God calling you to be a part of our grace-based family? And then the second question's pretty related, but how might you be a part of someone else's journey? Maybe someone specific that you can think of, someone else's journey toward finding and following Jesus, because you might be the answer to the prayer they're praying. God, would you show me this? Or would you do that in my life? And maybe you're the person God wants to work with, partner with in their journey toward finding and following Jesus. And you might know someone specifically, and God might put somebody on your heart right now. And so just give God time and space to talk to you about that. I'm just really thankful that Hope's the kind of place where we are on a journey together, where you don't have to fake and pretend to have it all together. And I'll be honest with you, this has been a really hard month for us. Like this last week was really discouraging for me. And so when this was like the message we were going to do, I'm like, I think I'll just do something else because I don't want to jump up and pep talk. You know, our celebration, I was not feeling it. I was very discouraged. And then sensed the Lord saying, yep, nope, do this, send out to these people the request, and they did. And wouldn't you know, the encouragement that I felt in the face of all the discouragement, that hope began to rise in me. It's how God even comes to minister to me through the stories of what he's doing in this church family. So I pray that you were blessed this morning as well. I'm going to turn us toward the closing song here that, friends, God has poured out his kindness on us. And so as we sing this song, it's such a reminder that God has invited us into his peace, invited us into his grace. And he's promised things that we don't always see coming very close on the horizon. But as we lift our eyes to what God is up to around us, I think we can experience some encouragement and some vision about what God will do. So will you stand and we're going to sing this song together.